If you find yourself struggling across the threshold in our society, this is probably the conclusion that people are going to jump to. But there is a healthy tradition, and one that the Spiritual Crisis Network very strongly draws on, that says actually, even if you call it psychosis, which can, I tend to avoid the word because it's used as a label for an illness, and I don't see this as an illness. I see it as maybe getting lost or something, but a part of the human condition. It's not like flu or something. But traditions such as psychosynthesis, spiritual emergence, Grof, Stanislav Grof, see entering into this realm of experience as having great potential for transformation. Usually it's something that happens when life has come to a bit of a full stop, when there is nowhere to go with the ordinary along the way sort of life. There is a necessity to go somewhere, to escape somewhere, and this somewhere can offer creative solutions to the stuckness, to the dilemma. And there are really good models for looking at that with Grof and psychosynthesis, and the other one whose name has dropped into the hole for names. And however, they do tend to distinguish between psychosis and transformational crisis. On the whole, on the grounds that transformational crisis is what myself and my friends have. Those other people in hospital have psychosis. But actually, since I learned everything I know about this field through putting together what I'd learned from the spiritual literature, reading the medieval mystics and that sort of thing, with what I heard from the people with the diagnosis of chronic schizophrenia, with whom I was the first person to offer therapy for when I was working in a psychiatric rehabilitation service, that one really doesn't quite wash with me. And indeed, more and more people see this as a false dichotomy. It's really interesting. When I first came into the field in the sort of 1990s, the only question in town seemed to be, how do we tell the difference between a spiritual emergency and a psychosis? It's really confusing. They're so similar. I think more and more, people are putting that aside and saying, yes, this can be, it can be both a transformational experience, it can be a terrible disaster, it can lead people into a place where there is no way out. But there is nothing to say that it did not have the potential at some point to be a transformational crisis. And that actually is the challenge for those of us who work in the mental health services, to not throw away that potential by the way in which we talk to people and the choices that we give them, and the sort of message I think that was given to Lyon that way back. That sort of message will close off the doors for it being something that can be positive. So, there are various ways of looking at it that see it as, I drew together various people who'd I think, but when sort of going back to the 1990s, one of the first people to do research in this area was Mike Jackson, who did a big survey and also some detailed qualitative research, looking at people who were experiencing things. Some of them were under hospitals, they'd been labelled, all the rest of it. Others simply were part of spiritual groups or something like that. But they'd all been, if you looked at their experiences, they were the same sorts of experiences. And he examined these people and he came up with the idea that, yes, I mean, this is a way out of a problem. People's lives have come to a point of crisis, they've come to a point where there's no way forward, so you sort of parachute upwards or something like that. And for some people, this is more accessible than for others. Some people, the sensitive people, the people who more easily their boundaries dissolve and they become in touch with other beings, other worlds, other whatever is out there, we don't know. For other people, the crisis has to be pretty terrific for that change to happen. But whatever way, it has got that potential to be a way through, to bring wisdom from that which is beyond and to bring it to bear on the problem so that the person can manage. But there are a lot of vicious circles that can trap somebody. The way that they are labelled, the way that they are helped to make sense of what's happened from outside is one of them. And there are ways in which they can get trapped from the inside. If they cut themselves off from other people, if they become isolated, then that world, which is of the other way of experiencing, becomes the only world. They become more and more cut off from other people. So being able to be in touch with both sides of the doorsill is absolutely crucial for managing that crisis in a healthy sort of way.